Hello and welcome to today's Yin style yoga practice. I'm Sarah, and for this class we'll be working into our connective tissues that support our entire structure by passively holding a series of poses for up to 3 minutes to support and improve our posture. So please bring along 2 blocks or 2 cushions if you have them handy, and we're going to begin today's class in supported fish. So making your way onto your mat, taking your 2 blocks or your 2 cushions with you, and we're going to place one of the blocks to support the back of the head. So you can place it at any level. I'm going to place it just in the middle level. So if you have a cushion, you're going to place one cushion in between both shoulder blades and one to support the back of the head. Bring the soles of your feet onto the mat and gently begin to lower down onto the forearms, and bringing the head down onto the block. You can begin to bring your legs to rest however you'd like them on the mat. Maybe you want to bring the soles of the feet to touch and drop the knees out, lying heavy towards the mat. Or you can extend the legs long away from the body, or keep the feet planted down onto your mat. And once you make your way into your pose, and you feel nice and comfortable, you can extend your arms, maybe up and overhead. Just go deeper into the shoulders, or keep the arms resting down along the body. Begin to close the eyes and bring yourself into your mind. Begin to soften the thoughts. And begin to focus on your breath. Letting go of any plans, any worries, any concerns from the day. And bringing your full focus into your class. In this first pose, supported fish, it's a great heart opener, opening through the front of the body, the shoulders, and creating some support for the back body. In today's lifestyle, we spend a lot of our time hunched over desks. Looking really good to open through the chest, creating more space. Noticing what you notice. Noticing any thoughts cropping up. Noticing the sensations in the body. Keeping your awareness with your breath. Lengthening the inhale. And lengthening the exhale. And then we'll gently now make our way out of the pose. If the arms are overhead, back down along the body. And you can bring the legs back up and the knees together. And gently roll down towards one side. Or pressing your way up. Just coming off your blocks. We're just going to rest in a fetal position on our mat just for a moment. Knees bent in towards the body. Resting on one side. Just noticing how the body feels now. And we'll gently make our way into our next pose. Coming up onto all fours, onto hands and knees. You can bring your cushions, your blocks, up with you, just in case you need them. Making your way onto all fours, we're going to come into a low lunge. And starting with our right side, and to bring our right foot in between both hands towards the top of the mat. And begin to walk your left leg back a little bit further away from the top, just to make more space between both legs so the hip can sink a little bit deeper towards the mat. You can rest both hands down onto the mat, or if you need more space, you can rest the hands onto your blocks. Using a little bit of padding under the left knee if you need to. And just make sure the right knee is in line over the right ankle, so it's not falling too far forward or too far back. Allow the upper body to melt over the right leg. And begin to close the eyes. Beginning to bring yourself into the pose. Noticing how the body feels starting off. Noticing any tightness, any stiffness, and begin to send your breath to those areas. Imagining on the exhale that you're releasing any tension. Allow the lower back to release while we work on building length into our hips, our quads. And working on building, maintaining a strong support of the whole body. Tapping into our mobility and our flexibility. Noticing when we begin to unravel as we hold these poses for a few breaths. As you relax the muscles, you connect with the connective tissues and fascia. and you relax the hips even more. And we'll gently come out of our pose by shifting the hips back. Really slowly step the right foot to meet the left towards the back of the mat, bringing your big toes to touch. Walk your knees a little bit wider and send the hips towards the heels. Melt the forehead down onto the mat, resting into our child's pose. Allowing the hips to hang heavy towards the heels as we let this one go. Noticing the sensations when we come out of each pose. Soften the fingers. Allow the arms to be heavy. And allow the hips to hang heavy towards your heels. And begin to look towards the top of the mat as we bring ourselves back up into our tabletop. And we'll take it to the next side in our low lunge, stepping the left foot in between both hands. Walk the right knee back a little bit more, creating more space between both legs. And place your hands back on the blocks or the cushions if you had them there. And allow the chest to fall and hang heavy and be supported by the left knee. And close the eyes or bring a soft gaze as you begin to settle in. Notice if you feel any sharp pains. If your breath is beginning to speed up, and that's a sign you've probably gone a little bit too deep into the pose. You can always back out. In yin, we only ever want to go at 50-60%. We don't need to go into our max. We want to allow the body to release and unwind in its own time. By going too deep into the poses, we begin to engage the muscles as we try to back off as the body wants to come out. Trying to hold these poses passively by releasing and going deeper into the connective tissues. The body will unwind and go deeper in its own time. And release any tension from the lower back. And we'll gently begin to come out of this pose, coming out of this side. Shift the hips back, coming up onto the fingertips, and step the left leg back towards the right. And we'll walk our knees towards the top of the mat, just leave enough space behind you to bring your body down. So we're going to bring our knees together into the center of the mat and walk the feet out towards the edges. While we bring the calves away so you can sit back in between both feet. Feet are pointing towards the back of the mat, knees pointing towards the front. You can stay here if this feels like enough for you. This can be quite intense and quite tight on the tops of the legs. You can walk your knees wider if they feel like they're peeling away a good bit. If you want to go deeper, you can walk the hands, bring the forearms down onto the mat. You just stay here if you want to go into the full pose. Drop the head back, down onto the top of the head. And then, once the head comes down, tuck in the chin and begin to rest the body down. You should have a nice lift through the belly, creating a space, an arch behind the lower back, up towards the top of the shoulders. Should be peeling away from the mat. If the knees are beginning to lift off the mat, you can walk the legs a bit wider. Keep the arms on the belly, or to go to the deepest level, bring the arms up and overhead. Take hold of opposite elbow. And another wonderful heart opener for building our support system, our structure. These poses not only work on increasing flexibility, they increase mobility and strength by passively holding the poses, by relaxing the muscle and connecting with our connective tissues. And they'll allow us to stand strong and be more agile, so our body and our mind can take whatever the day has in store for us. Gently back out of the pose, bringing the hands down along the body. If you're down in the full variation, coming up onto the elbows, walking up. And bring yourself sitting back up on the mat. You can just scoop the legs out in front of you and take hold of your block or your cushion and bring it to one side as we make our way down onto our back. We can place the block off just for the moment. We won't need it right now. Just keep it there for after. We're going to hug our knees in towards our belly. Just allow the knees to drop just for a breath. And we're going to cross the right leg over the left. If you want to take a double bind with the legs, just intensify the pose. Just if you feel you can take it there, you can double bind and cross the right foot over the left ankle. Shift the hips over to the right as we drop the knees down to the left. Bring the right arm out along away from the body. Trying to see if you can anchor the right shoulder down into the ground. You might need to rest the block underneath the knees, just for a bit more support if they're not quite making their way to the ground. You can rest your left hand into the belly, anywhere on the body, maybe onto the legs, just for a deeper sense of connection. and begin to melt. Soften every part of the body. As we twist from the belly, we relax the muscles to the sides of our body, working deeper. You might begin to notice the mind drift and wander. See if you can bring it back to the present moment. Maybe drawing your awareness to the sensations within the body, or draw your awareness to your breath. Gently come out of the pose. Bring the knees back up to center. Unwinding and crossing the legs. We'll plant both feet onto the mat. Rest both hands onto the belly. Just allow the knees to drop towards each other. And just take a moment to notice how either side feels. The transitions in yin, equally as important as the pose themselves. It allows us to connect with each pose, with the effects. Allow it to resonate within. And cross over the opposite side. Shift the hips to the left. Taking the left leg around, wrapping it around. Maybe take the double bind over the right leg. Picking the knees up and dropping them over to the right. Extend the left arm out long away from you. Bring it into a T shape if you don't quite have the space. And you can rest your block under the knee for more support. Anchor the left shoulder into the ground. Feeling the support of the mat beneath you. Soften your fingers. Allowing them to naturally curl. Notice how as we hold these poses for quite some time, that even within, the body is beginning to unwind. You can go deeper. Maybe the knees drop a little bit heavier towards the mat. And the shoulder sinks and melts more. Taking your last few breaths here. And we'll gently come out of our twist. Bring the knees back up to center, unwinding the legs. And place the arms down along the body, feet rooted on the mat. Drop the knees towards each other. Notice what you notice. And from here, we're going to make our way into supported bridge. So if you have your 2 cushions handy or your block, we're going to pick up the hips. We're going to slide the block under. You can rest the block on whatever level you like, maybe on the lowest, maybe the middle one. I would definitely suggest that you don't bring it to the highest. And you can walk the feet in, so they're roughly in line under the knees. If you have 2 cushions, you can bring 1 or 2 under the hips, just where you feel you want to be. You can rest your arms down along the body, palms facing up, shoulder blades nestled under, hips elevated. Allowing that rush of blood up towards the top of your body. Let go of any tension. Let go of any effort. Find complete and total stillness. And from here, we'll gently come out of the pose. Just pick up the hips slightly. If you have the cushions underneath, you can keep them there. If you have the block on the second level, I'm just going to bring it down to its lowest level. Rest the hips back down. You can drop the knees in towards each other. Just take a moment. Allow the spine to relax. I'm going to begin to pick up the feet, drawing them away from the mat as we extend the legs long. So our hips are coming up off the mat. Our legs are long, stretched away from you. You can keep a soft bend in the knees. You can rest the arms back down along the body. Allowing the blood flow to reverse. Soften the muscles in your face. Soften your forehead. The space in between your eyebrows. Allow your eyes to become heavy in their sockets. Allow your jaw to release, your tongue to drop down to the bottom of your mouth. and your lips stay closed. Begin to bend your knees as you draw them into your belly. You take hold of the knees as they hang heavy. And plant our feet down onto the mat, picking up our hips, sending the block off to one side. And extend our legs long. Heels drop in, toes drop out, arms are long in the body, palms facing up towards the sky, chin slightly tucked in, shoulders nestle under the body, and feeling that rush of blood down through the legs, down into the toes. Can you relax even more? Allowing your limbs to become weightless. And this is where I'll leave you for today to rest in your Shavasana. I encourage you to stay as long as you can here. And thank you very much for joining me for today's class. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you on the mat very soon. Namaste.